Alright, so today we're going to look at another method of solving a system of equations. Last class we looked at substitution, and remember the process of substitution was taking two equations that look like this, they both have x and y, and turning it into one equation with just x or just y so that we could solve for that variable and start finding information we need. And remember, the only time we use substitution is when we have an x equals or a y equals. So the method I'm going to show you today is a good way of solving problems that don't have an x equals or a y equals, and it's called elimination. Just like with substitution we substituted, you guessed it, with elimination we are going to eliminate. And today we're going to look at just the most basic elimination. We'll make it a little more complicated in next class, but for now we're just going to look at the most basic type. And so in order to kind of begin this process, we need to think about numbers that are opposites of each other that will eliminate each other. So if I added 5 and negative 5 together, they would eliminate and make 0. If I added 10 and negative 10 together, they would eliminate and make 0. So we have things like 5 and negative 5, 10 and negative 10. We also have things like this, like if I had 2x and negative 2x, right? Because 2x plus negative 2x is 0, it's nothing. 5y and negative 5y, because 5y plus negative 5y eliminates and makes 0. Okay, so we're looking for things that when we add them together, they eliminate each other. Okay, so let's look at example 1 here. So the question you need to ask yourself when you approach an elimination problem is ask yourself, do I see anything that when I add it together it would eliminate? And hopefully you see, if I did 5x plus x, that would make 6x. That wouldn't eliminate. That doesn't help me. But you see here, if I do negative 2y plus 2y, that will eliminate, right? So all we're going to do is simply add the two equations together, and we're just going to add straight down. So I'm going to add the two equations straight down. So straight down here, I would have 5x plus x is 6x. Then we have the pair that will eliminate, negative 2y and 2y makes 0. So I'm not going to write anything down here because those eliminate. Let me just mark them out. And then I bring down my equal sign, and you see 4 plus 8 is 12 on the other side. So essentially I found a pair that when I add them together would eliminate, and now I just solve what's left. So I see 6x plus 12 is left, so I would divide by 6 on both sides, and I have x equals 2. So there is half of my answer, because remember, all of my answer is an ordered pair, so I need the y value to go with it. So essentially, to find the y value, I have these equations over here, and it honestly does not matter which one you pick. Just pick the one that looks easiest for you. But you have to pick one of your original equations. I think the bottom one here, x plus 2y equals 8, looks a little easier, so that's the one I'm going to use. So I figured out that right here my x value is 2, so I'm plugging that in for x in my equation. So I'm taking this equation now over here. So I have x is 2 plus 2y equals 8. And now you can see I have just a single y, and I can solve for it. So subtract 2y equals 6. Divide by 2 on both sides, and I get y equals 3. So there's the other half of my answer. So now, remember my answer, 2ANS, is the ordered pair x comma y. So 2 comma, oh, it's positive, sorry, 2 comma 3. And there we have it. Okay, that's elimination. So essentially I'm looking for a pair that would eliminate and just adding straight down. Once I add straight down, I've now made a simpler equation that is easy to solve. So I solve down for that variable, and then I just substitute it back into one of my original equations to find the other value. Okay, let's look at another one together here on example 2. Okay, so again, I look at example 2. My x's will not eliminate. My y's will eliminate, negative 5y and 5y. So I'm ready to just add straight down. These are going to eliminate, so I have 2x plus 4x is 6x. Bring down my equal sign. Negative 20 plus 14 leaves me with negative 6. So I solve what's left. I've made something that's a lot more simple now, right? 6x equals negative 6. That doesn't look that bad. So now I solve down what's left, and I have x equals negative 1. That's half of my answer. Now I need the other half. And again, I pick either one of these two original equations. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. Excuse me. I'm going to pick the bottom one again just because there's no negatives in it. So that's my choice. So I'm going to rewrite this, but in place of x, because remember I know that x is negative 1. So I have 4, and I know that x is negative 1, so I plug that in for x, plus 5y equals 14. And now I have an equation that only has a y, and I can solve. So 4 times negative 1 here is negative 4, plus 5y equals 14. Then I'm just solving for y, so I add 4 to both sides. I have 5y equals 14 plus 4 is 18. Divide by 5 on both sides. And I would have y equals, let's see, that would be 3.6. So then I have my ordered pair answer, negative 1, 3.6. I don't know why I keep wanting to do ANS. Okay, there's my answer. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video. I want you to do this, try this down here. So go ahead and pause the video, do the try this, and then when you're ready to see my answer, you can go ahead and unpause the video and I'll work through it. Okay, so you can see I have a y and positive 1y and negative 1y, so those are going to eliminate when I add down. So 3x minus 1x would leave me with 2x. 13 minus 3 leaves me with 10. Now I can easily solve what's left. So I divide both sides by 2, and x equals 5. So now I'm going to use one of my two original equations. I like the top one because there's no negatives, so I have 3. The x value is 5. That's what I just found on the other side. Plus y equals 13. So now I just solve for y. So 3 times 5 is 15. Plus y equals 13. An opposite operation. Subtract 15 from both sides, and I get y equals negative 2. So then my answer is x, y, 5, negative 2. And that is elimination.